So, what if I told you that you could access $100,000 in the next 30 days in business credit at 0% interest for 12 to 18 months without having to submit tax returns, without having to submit bank statements, without having to have business revenue or have a lot of time in business? This is exactly what I'm going to tell you to be able to free you from being stuck, from having to use your own personal credit to fund deals and ruining your credit score and changing things around. This is what I'm going to show you, the exact blueprint that you would need to be able to access this funding right now in the next 30 days, right? And how you can leverage this information regardless of what position you are in your credit. I'm going to give you some steps to be able to move forward and lock things in. So let's stay tapped in, you guys, and make sure you share this with somebody because we are going up, right? I'm ready to share this information with you. How can you access 50K, 100K, 150K, right? 120K the next 30 days. And I'm going straight into it. So please put your questions in the chat and we're gonna lock into it. So there's two pillars that you need for this sort of funding, right? Two pillars. Number one is your personal credit profile needs to be set up in a certain way that the banks want to see it. Number two is going to be a business entity structure. And by structure, I mean, how does the business show up? How does it look on paper to the banks? When you have that in motion and you have those two things, then you can access this level of funding, $100,000, 150, 80,000, 130,000. How do I know this? Because we're helping clients with it all day, and I've done it myself. The only reason I am here at this hour, I am sharing this with you because I want you to be able to take advantage of it. And I've experienced it myself, where we've gotten over $500,000 in business credit between myself and my wife at 0% interest to be able to use for mentorship, for real estate, for investment, all sorts of things. And you can do the same. So I want you to have the information. There's zero gatekeep in me, really ever at any point. So I want to give you this and hand you this so that you can take it and run with it. So I want you to put your questions in the chat. What is holding you back? What's going on, A? Tasha, what's up? What is holding you back from moving forward and feeling like you can qualify for this? Is there something that you think is going to give you a problem, a myth that you feel like you've heard, or what is this or what is this not? You know, I want to dispel all that. I want to clear things up for you so that you feel confident and ready to be able to move forward. Which, regardless of which path that you take, we do help people with this sort of funding every day. So if you need that help, I'd be glad to work with you. But my goal tonight is to share the information with you so that you can walk away with as much value as possible. I believe in abundance, and I believe that we don't have to have any scarcity, that if I share this as much information, I give you everything that I've got, that the universe will bring it back around in one way or another. God will make it work, and you will get the information that you need, and the people that are designated to work with me will stick in that vein. So I want to show you the exact blueprint. So please get your pens out, get your phone notes, whatever it is that you got going on, and make sure that you are tapped in with this, because this is the exact blueprint. So here we go. So put your questions in the chat, but I'm just going to dive straight in, and I'm going to loop back around if anybody has any questions, right? So why are we using business credit? Why is this important? All right, because when we access this business credit stacking approach, where we're stacking 0% credit, none of these accounts and none of these balances show up on our personal profile, right? So I can use as much of this as I want to on the business side, and it doesn't impact my personal credit. How do I know this? Because, as I told you, we've gotten over 500,000 to be able to leverage towards investment, towards mentorship, and all sorts of things. And we have balances and things like that because we've been in business for, the past 5 years or so. And some things have gone well, some things have gone not so well. So we have some balances on these cards that we've accessed. But when I checked my credit score the last time, it was literally an 850, right? 850 credit score, 847 on some bureaus, 843. So you can do this and keep your personal credit intact. And when you do that, when you have a strong personal credit profile, everything opens up, everything changes. It just makes everything easier. All right. So I want you to be empowered to be able to embrace that. And I want to walk through the exact profile, right? So some of you are going to be sitting on money that you could be accessing right now, 100K, 120K. You're literally sitting on funds because you're sitting on this profile that I'm about to explain, and you are just not leveraging it properly, right? You're not leveraging what you need. So again, there's two pillars of this, two pillars. Number one is going to be a business entity structure. Number two is going to be a personal credit profile. All right. So let's look at the personal credit profile and the business entity structure, and let's keep it rolling. Wim, WIM, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. You guys share this with somebody. This is valuable information. I have paid a good amount of money for this, but I want you to have it for free, no gatekeep. Like I said, to be able to add value to your life, to push things forward, to fund your future and your freedom so you can operate more in your God-given purpose and add value to the world. But these funds are here for you to be able to do that, right? And I want you to access this because it's one of the most powerful things you can do, because you don't have to have bank statements. You don't have to, like, a lot of the arguments and a lot of the red tape that shows up in people's mind for why I can't get into business, why I can't get started, why I can't scale, right? My personal credit is limited. We don't have to show bank statements. We don't have to show tax returns. We don't have to be in business for a very long time. We don't have to have business revenue yet, right? We can access this in the next 30 days. Some of you are sitting on that profile right now, so that in the next 30 days, you can access $100,000, $120,000, $150,000, $80,000. So we're seeing this with our clients every day. And I want to give you the exact blueprint, the exact sauce. I'm going to tell you exactly how you can leverage this in multiple ways, regardless of where you are right now. So let's dig into it. Put your questions in the chat. This is a great time to share with somebody. But let's go. So here we go. Number one, the personal credit profile. Personal credit profile. What do you need in your profile that the banks want to see? This is exactly the data points that the banks want to see in order to get you the max amount of funding. All right, here we go. Number one, please write this down if you're paying attention. Number one, your personal credit cards, right? You need your limits. If you add up all of your limits on all your cards, is it more than $10,000 to $15,000? Right, more than $15,000. So if you have that, then you are a good part of the way into the game. All right. So if you have more than $15,000, and we'll talk about that, real Vanessa Roman, about credit mix. All right. We'll talk about credit mix in just a second. All right. So do you have more than $15,000 or $10,000 to $15,000 in your credit limits? If you do, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. If you do not have that, I want you to put cards in the chat. Right. And I don't want you to worry about whether you are qualified for this yourself, because I'm going to talk about some ways that you can still leverage this information to your benefit. All right. If you got that, I want you to put 1. All right, I'm seeing some 1s coming through. If you don't have that, I want you to put cards in the chat. All right. So here's number 2. You guys, please write this down. OK, here's number 2. Your utilization on your credit card balances needs to be 30% or below. Right. 30% at the maximum. Ideally, you're actually below 10%. Now, this is both your total utilization for all your cards, as well as each individual card needs to be at that amount. All right. So if your utilization is below 30%, if your utilization is below 30%, then I want you to put a 2 in the chat. If your utilization is above 30% on any of your cards or across the board, I want you to put utilization in the chat. All right. Now, if that is you, and we're going to talk about this, if this is the only thing holding you back from funding, then we're going to talk about what you can do. Right. I have a thing that you can do to be able to take care of that in short order. All right. Endless flow. I see you with utilization. So we're going to talk about the hack that you can use to be able to get over this. But let's see if this is the only thing holding you back from funding out of our 6 points that we're going to go through. Marco says, what if you have late payments 2 years ago on a house you sold? Will that affect it? Marco, the late payment for 2 years ago, that is the cutoff. So is it older than 2 years or is it just under 2 years? If it's over 2 years, then we can squeeze by to still be able to get funding. right? If it's under 2 years, then we got to take care of it. So you let me know, where is it, Marco? Is it right at the 2-year mark, or is it just above? It's 24 months. Is it above 2 years? Like, what's the date? Was it December 15 of 2023? Let me know. Let me know. So you're right on the edge. All right. So here we go. So utilization. We're going to talk about this endless flow, about what you can do. But let's go through the rest of these points. We're going to zip through them, and then we're going to come back, loop around again. Put your questions in the chat, and we're going to loop around to this. All right. So number 3. Here we go. Number 3. Your inquiries on your credit report need to be 0 to 3 inquiries. All right. So 3 inquiries max per bureau. All right. 3 inquiries max per bureau. So if you have inquiries that are in the last 6 months are going to be more impactful for funding decisions versus anything that is older than 6 months, right? So you want to keep that in mind, and you want to be mindful to not just go and start applying for everything right now if you're thinking about funding, because the inquiries that add up and the accounts, it all impacts your funding sequence. So you want to be mindful and you want to be careful before you start doing anything like that. All right. So that is number 3. Now, if you have inquiries that are less than 3 per bureau, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. If your inquiries are, if you have more than that, I want you to put inquiries in the chat. All right. Thank you guys for hitting the likes. Please share this. Whatever you can do, we got to get this information out to as many people as possible. Like I said, I paid good money for it, so whoever's here is gonna get the benefit right tonight. All right, so here we go. So I'm seeing some 3s, right? Thanks for the share, Endless Flow. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm seeing some 3s. Here we go. Here's number 4. Number 4 is your total accounts on your report. Do you have a total of at least 7 to 10 accounts on your report across all your accounts, not just your credit cards, but mortgages, student loans, auto loans, right? Store cards. Do you have at least 10 of those? All right. If you've got that, I want you to put a 4 in the chat. If you don't have that, I want you to put accounts. All right, Marco, you said you got 3 that are 8 months old. Yep, and that depends on the bureau. So, Marco, which bureau? Because we want to know per bureau how many inquiries do you have. And like I said, 8 months old. That's a little better than if it was newer than that. So we can still work with that. But we want to know how many are on each bureau. Right? Or are they spread across a bureau? Experian, just on Experian. Okay. And now, Marco, here's another thing that we want to be mindful of is, are these inquiries tied to open accounts on your personal credit report? So did they result in an actual account that you are using actively now? Because, write this down, any inquiries that are not tied to an open account on your personal credit report, you technically have the ability to remove those inquiries from your report. Now, this is going to be important just for the whole concept of this business credit stacking method that I'm sharing with you, is that we are going to the banks and we're getting multiple credit card products, right? And there's lots of ways to get funding, you guys, lots of different products and things like that. And our team can actually help with all of that across the board. And if you don't do anything else tonight, or like I say, if my daughter wakes up now in the middle of the night and I need to rush upstairs and end the live, if you don't do anything else, I encourage you to book a consultation call, a free consultation with the team. You're going to go to fundingmyfuture.net, or you're going to, you can text me and I'll send you the direct link. You can text me at 240-240-640-2, and I will send you the direct link to be able to tap in with a free consultation call where you're going to get your next step laid out, whether that's in your credit or whether that's looking at what do we need to do to get funded, right? So, so we talked about that, those number of accounts. All right. So next, here's number 5. So we got all 4. Some of you guys are tracking, looking like you're on point. Then we're going to loop back around to talk about utilization. But let's see, endless flow. Is the utilization the only thing holding you back? Let's find out. All right, here we go. Number 5, the average age of your credit needs to be 2 years or more at minimum. Ideally, it's 4 to 5 years or more. Average age of your credit across all your accounts. Right? If you got that age, I want you to put a 5 in the chat. If you don't have that, if you got less than 2 years on your average age of your accounts, I want you to put age. All right. And we can talk about some ways to deal with that. All right. We're getting close, getting close. I see some people putting age in the chat. Here we go. Here's the last one, number 6. Number 6 is we want no derogatories. All right. We already just talked about with Marco. We want no late payments in the last 2 years. All right. We want no collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcies. If you have that, I want you to put a 6 in the chat. Put a 6 in the chat. And Sashay, I see you with age. So we're going to talk about some ways you can deal with age, especially if age is the only thing holding you back. We can talk about ways to deal with age. Right? Each one of these has some little tips and tricks and things we can do to address it. If you have no derogatories, and Marco, let's just go ahead and include you right now. Right? Let's include you right now. Yep, Marco, you can definitely do rent reporters and things like that to add to your age. Now, another thing about age is that if we have time to talk about it, is authorized users. Right? So authorized users are not a silver bullet. If somebody adds you as an authorized user, it's not a silver bullet to everything. However, it does have a significant impact on 2 categories. One of those is age, and the other one is your utilization. All right. So authorized user trade lines are something that you can leverage for yourself, and other people can leverage if you are going to potentially be able to people will pay for those slots to be able to help out their credit profile. So if you're sitting on credit cards that you haven't used, and it's got a good age, it's got a good limit, you're sitting on money that you could be using if you learn how to do it properly. That's another strategy that we can talk through. Right. So here we are. So that was the blueprint, right? I hope that didn't go over your head. It sounds simple, those 6 points, but those are the data points, and data is everything in this game, to know what are they looking for. If you have those things, then you are 30 days away from having $100,000, $150,000, $120,000, $80,000 to use for your business at 0% interest without having to submit tax returns, without having to submit bank statements, without having to submit a business plan, right, to show business revenue, or your business being in existence for a long time, or even having business credit scores. And this is confusing for a lot of people, right? Because a lot of people, when you hear business credit, say, okay, you need to build up, you need to get a Paydex score, you need to get your business experience, you need to get your, you get these trade line accounts and vendor accounts and net 30s. You need to build this thing up, right? So that is a real thing. However, you do not need that. And thanks for the share, Endless Flow. You do not need that stuff in order to get access to this stacking method. It's literally these two things, those 2 pillars. When we have this personal credit profile that I just shared with you, personal credit profile, and you have the business entity structure, when you combine those 2, then you are ready to move forward, right? So who had check marks on all of those? If you were good on all of those, I want you to put ready in the chat. Put ready in the chat. And what were they? One more time. Your credit card limits. If you add up all your limits, ST Young, thanks for the follow. If you add up all of your limits on your credit cards, is it 10 to 15,000 or more? Is your utilization below 30% at minimum, and ideally is below 10%? If your inquiries, you have 0 to 3 inquiries per bureau, and as few as possible in the last 6 months, right? If you have at least 10 primary accounts showing on your credit report, 7 to 10. You got 15, you got 20, you got 25, the more the merrier. If you got your average age is number 5, your average age of your credit is 2 years or more, right? Or and number 6, your late payments. You have no late payments, no collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcy, no derogatories. Utilization is the biggest problem in Endless Flow. All right, let's talk. Here we go. Creditor Academy. Can I do a PG on the business only? Right. So this is what we're talking about, Creditor Academy. This is what we're talking about. We are doing a PG, which means a personal guarantee, right? We're leveraging our personal credit profile to get in our foot in the door in the banks and to expose these high limits. We're exposing these high limits in order to get access to these business products. Once we get access to the business products, they're strictly on the business side. So this does not impact our personal credit anymore, because the account, the balance, the utilization, none of it shows up on our personal credit, right? Creditor Academy. Let's touch base. I got you. You can text me, put me in the chat. So 240, 240, 640, 2. Right? 240, 240, 6402. You can text me and I will give you the direct link to book a free consultation call with the team. So those of you that put ready in the chat and you got all that good to go, that's going to be your next step. Now, for those of you that aren't ready, right? Or one of those things is holding you back. I want you to tell me which one of those things was holding you back out of those things that I mentioned. Out of the cards, the utilization, right? And we're going to go through that endless flow. We're going to go through utilization like right now. Cards, the utilization, the increase, the number of accounts, the age of your credit, and the derogatories. Yep. Credit Academy. Yep. So again, you can go to fundingmyfuture.net and hit the link there. You can do that right now. Go to fundingmyfuture.net or hit the link in my bio. Right. And I see Tar Heel Capital. So you said increase is the only thing holding you back. That's the only thing holding you back. All right, we can deal with increase, especially if they're not tied to open accounts on your personal credit report. We can deal with that. Right. And we help to be able to get you funded, but we also help to deal with your negatives or deal with your credit or to optimize your credit to make sure it has everything it needs to be able to get funded. All right, B slaps, utilization. I see some people talking about high debt and utilization. So let's talk about it. Are you ready for the sauce? You ready for the hack? Somebody put hack in the chat if you're ready for it. All right. Marco says, what if you got 4 or 5 new accounts in the last 9 months, but got 4 out of 5 inquiries removed? Okay. So that means so Marco, is your age still good? If you got a bunch of new accounts recently, right? And you got the inquiries removed. Okay. You successfully did that. Is your age still good? If your age is still good, I think we're okay. We can definitely take a look at it. If your age is not good, like I said, we can talk about some things to be able to work with on the age, right? But I want to make sure as far as what Creditor Academy was talking about, make sure we're clear on this, right? We're leveraging our personal credit to get into these business cards. And then these business cards do not show up on our personal credit. So we can use as much as we want on that. And it does not impact our personal credit score. And like I said, I've got balances personally. I just told you that my wife and I have obtained over $500,000 to be able to use at 0% interest, right? And this is before we were able to show revenue. Like I'm like verifying for you that this is something that's real, right? And all those balances on that business credit, our personal scores is still 850, 847, 843. You know, it's completely untouched. All right. So this is a real thing that we can do, and it opens up so many doors to be able to access and say, okay, well, what can I do with this funding now that I have it? It opens up so many doors because now your mind is thinking, okay, well, this mentorship that costs $20,000, where they're going to show me the exact blueprint of what I need to do. Now I can afford that, right? And if I'm serious about executing on whatever it is that they're telling me to do, then I can get access to that. But it's a different thing. That down payment for that property, that's a $30,000 down payment or a $40,000 down payment to be able to get that investment property. You know, a lot that's a roadblock for a lot of people. Say, I don't have that. Well, I'm going to save up, or maybe I'm going to do wholesaling, or maybe I'm going to, do these different things until I can get that amount because I don't have it. But guess what? In the next 30 days, you could have it. Some of you are literally sitting on it. Christina French, thanks for the follow. TikTok King, appreciate the follow. You guys, please share this with somebody. We're going to go through the hack right now. This is a great time to share this with somebody, right? Tar Heel Capital says you applied to get the other cars with the same company and didn't get approved, but you have other cars with that company. Okay, can you still dispute the inquiries? That's a good question. That's a good question. Because you have a relationship with them already. I think the risk is that they will close down that particular account, but maybe I would tread lightly with that. So maybe we can, if you book a call with a team, and we can know, okay, what's the best way to approach that? All right, that's a good and valid question. All right, so here we go. So let's talk about our hack for the utilization. All right, I saw some people put hack in the chat. All right, here we go. So for those of you that have high utilization, this is what we're going to do. Please write this down. Carlos says, you need a business account to get funding. Yes, you do need a business account, right? And that's going to be part of it. You don't have to have it right this second, but that is going to be part of it, right? So we're going to need to have a business. We need to have an entity. We can fund any type of entity structure. So that part is not necessarily important for this conversation. Whether you got a sole proprietorship, which most people say don't do, we can still get funded, get you funded on that. Or if you got an LLC, a partnership, if you got a, all this other stuff, right? S corp, corporation, that part doesn't matter. But you will need an entity, and you will need a business account a lot of times at that bank. And that's part of the strategy, because we need to establish relationships sometimes with some of these banks, which means I'm going to open up some accounts. I'm going to put some money in it to be able to get the maximum approvals for these cards. And this is all part of the strategy that we're working with people all the time, right? To be able to move forward. All right. So JGMB says, I need a 10K credit card on the personal side. JGMB, do you not have any other credit cards? All right. There are some credit unions and regional banks that specialize in getting you access to large limits, even if you're just starting out. All right. I'll just say, hey, Navy Federal, if you can get in with them, they're known for giving out large limits. Wings Financial, hope you guys are taking notes. There's a couple of these cards and credit unions that are known for doing that, right? All right, here we go. Let's talk about the hack. B-Slap says, let's get back on it. Let's get back to this hack. You guys are gonna this always blows my mind every time. Here we go. So why does this hack work, and what is it? All right, let's just say somebody throw out, what's the amount that you have on your personal credit card balances if we were to just pay everything off? Somebody tell me what's the amount, or just give me an amount to use for the example. Jay Mills, what if you just got out of a bankruptcy? If you just got out of a bankruptcy, then we need to deal with it, right? We need to deal with it. Meaning there might be ways to remove it from your report, at least for the purposes of funding. So you got to work with the team to be able to just get started in that direction. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we got 4,000, we got 90,000, we got 45,000, got 2,000. All right, showing up on our for our amounts. All right. So let's just say it was 20,000. Let's pick a number kind of in the middle. Let's say it was $20,000. Right. Yep. Creditor Academy. Yep. Meeting with Prince now. Excellent. Moving forward. Appreciate you taking action. All right. JGMB, thanks for the follow. J Mills, appreciate the follow. All right. So here we go. If I got $20,000 personal credit balances, and let's just say my utilization, once I've got that, is pretty high. All right. And that's damaging my credit score. Creditor Academy, thanks for the follow. All right. It's damaging my credit score. All right. You guys, please share this with somebody. This is a great time to share, because somebody could stumble across this live. And again, you hit the like button. You can share a gift. That lets the algorithm know that more people need to know about it. And somebody could stumble across this and literally change the course of their life just because you just didn't know what you didn't know. Right. So if I got 20,000 on my personal credit cards, and let's just say I'm at 80% utilization and my credit score is lower just because of that, and that's the only thing holding me back from funding, right? Just like we talked with endless flow. That's the only thing holding her back. And did she put the amount? All right, 90K. All right, so let's talk about this strategy, this concept. Now, your credit score is based on your revolving credit debt, right? Which means your credit card limits and the amounts that you're using on your credit cards. What it's not based on is installment products. What are installment products? These are personal loans. These are any auto loans, right? Anything with a fixed payment. So here's what we do. All you have to do is shift over the balance from your credit cards over to some sort of loan product. Once you do that, then everything opens up. How does that work? Let's just say I have that $20,000 balances on my cards, right? And I could go And depending on the source that you use, and again, when you're tapped in with the team, go to fundingmyfuture.net. You tapped in with the team. We have multiple ways to be able to connect you to these types of things. All right. That can help depending on your situation, depending on the state that you're in. We got multiple situations. So I could go in the next 24 to 48 hours. I could get some form of personal loan for $20,000 cash into my account, and then immediately go and pay off all my credit cards, all 20,000. All right. My credit card balances go to zero. The debt didn't change. All right. So I still have the 20,000. That part's the same. But the difference is my credit score is going to jump up immediately, because there's like 30% of your score is based on your utilization. So that's about 165 points that your score can swing depending on what you have. So your score is going to shoot up, right? Now you have the debt that you were paying on the credit cards. You were paying 20% interest if you're lucky, 22% interest, 25, 29%, right? Somebody put the interest that you're paying on your credit card in the chat, because these banks are crazy, right? 29%, 30%. And now you've moved over. Even if you just stop there, that would be a smart thing to do. Even if you just stop there, now you've moved over to a personal loan. Now your credit score has improved and you're paying less in interest, because the personal loans in general are going to be 10%, 12%, 15%, 6%, depending on your credit profile and things like that. All right. So if we stop there, that would be a great move. However, that was the only thing holding us back from funding, like we just talked about. The only thing holding us back from funding. So now we can get funded with business credit to the tune of $100,000, $80,000, $120,000, $150,000. So when we do that, we can effectively move that balance from the personal loan, that $20K, over to the business credit side. Okay, so now we've got the $20K. It's off of our credit report completely, because I just told you that the balances on the business credit cards do not show up on our personal credit report. So that $20K has moved from the 25% interest, 29% interest, all the way over to 0% interest on the business credit, and it's off of our credit report completely. Now what we need to do is to figure out, with the amount that I have left on business credit, what am I going to do to execute on business, right? To be able to add value to the world and to solve people's problems. And the more of that I do, the more money that comes back. So what can I do to leverage those funds to be able to do that? Somebody tell me if that makes sense, and tell me if that was eye-opening for you. Right? Let me know. Now, whatever way you can get those amounts down, the personal loan was just one way that you don't have to necessarily come up with any additional funds to be able to do it, and you can do it very quickly. Right? That's one way. If you just have money sitting somewhere and you just haven't paid them down, you can pay it down to below 10% on all your cards, then just do it. Right? There's other ways you can leverage a HELOC. You can do some balance transfers and shift things around so that there's a lot of ways to do it. I'm just telling you, you just need to do it. And let's flow. Let me know if that makes sense. All right, here we go. So somebody was talking about, SoFi and mortgages. Okay. Yep. Thanks for the share, Queen Cam. Utilization will be below 10% and score will go up. It's a good strategy. Yep. That's it. And you're ready for funding. Percival Williams, thanks for the follow. All right. Personal loans have denied me because of my score. All I have is high debt and no derogatories. Okay. B slaps. Here we go. Again, you don't know what you don't know. And when you are tapped in with the team, we might have more resources that you haven't explored on your own. Right. And even the way that you go about that application is gonna make a big difference also. Right. So here's the thing. Here's one thing I will tell you is that because this is part of this strategy, all right, 1K, thanks for the follow. Yep, Philip Wood, appreciate the follow. Because this is part of a strategy that we're going for funding, we can change our standards with this personal loan. What do I mean? Is we can go to, if you have a lower credit score, we can go to subprime lenders who typically you might want to avoid because they have higher interest rates, right? But if we're only going to be having that balance on that personal loan for a short time, because our plan is to effectively move it over to the business credit, either through liquidation or balance transfer methods or different things like that, then it's only going to be on there for a short amount of time. And the interest is not even really going to kick in for real. So we could go and get a subprime loan for the amount that we need, or a multiple, or whatever we need to do to just get to that place. If that's the only thing holding us back, we can get loans that are a little bit less favorable. That would seem like that's not a good idea in the long term, but in the short term, it's a great idea because we can get to what we need, and now we can get to the goal. Now we can get that business credit again. That's on the business side, 0% interest, 12 to 18 months. We don't have to submit, tax returns and bank statements and all that stuff. Now we can access that and be able to move forward. All right, so let me know. And again, there might be some resources or some lenders or some things that we can tap you in with that you may not know about. And this is the difference when you're navigating this stuff on your own. Again, I salute you for trying to make it happen. It's a lot to keep track of, and then every mistake is very frustrating, and it sets the clock back, and you get inquiries, and you get it's a lot. And for most of us, we should be spending our time focusing on business. What are we doing to generate new income? What skills do we need to learn? What team do we need to adapt? And it's a lot to keep track of the financial stuff, right? Because these banks, they change up their methods, or the government changed something, or there's so many different things that shift around that you have to stay on top of, and it's hard to stay on top of all of it, which is why it helps. What's up, Dre? Which is why it helps to be able to work with somebody that is doing it regularly, right? Rachel, thanks for the follow. Luther, thanks for the follow. All right, so let's let me know if you guys let me know if you guys got the value from that hack that I just gave you, right? That's a gem, because there's so many people that feel like they're so far away because their credit score is lower and they're using up, your personal credit card limits and things like that. So many people that think they're so far away, but they're literally 1 or 2 moves away, which can be executed in the next 24 to 48 hours. And then you're just a waiting game until your credit card statements report those new balances, and now you're off to the races. Literally 1 or 2 moves away, right? Now, I have to pivot right here, right? I got to pivot to share something with you. For those of you that are watching, and I just gave you the sauce on exactly what your credit profile needs to look like, right, in order to access this. But you don't meet these requirements right now. I want to talk to you real quick, so I don't want you to be discouraged. This is for you, and it's only a matter of time. That's number one. The first thing I will tell you to do is just start working. I just laid it out for you. So let's start working on it and working towards it, no matter how long it takes. When you get there, it's going to open up a fountain, never-ending fountain practically, of funding that you can use, because you can repeat this process over and over every 6 months, every 6 to 12 months, right? Even faster sometimes if you leverage some other strategies. But once you get there, this opens up everything, right? So just start working today, and I would suggest that you book a call with a team so we can map out, okay, what is your next step? What do you need to do with your credit? What do you need to add into your credit profile? It's just the whole process to be able to push things forward, right? But start today. Now, that's cool. If you say, Kyle, I'm starting today, I'm willing to wait the time, I'm willing to put in the work, but I got some other things for you to be able to leverage right now. How can you leverage it right now? Here's the other thing you can do, is you can leverage what's called a credit partner. Please take notes on this, you guys. This is crazy stuff. You can leverage what's called a credit partner. The credit partner has this profile. They're sitting on it. They're not doing anything with it. And you can partner with them, and we can get them funded either on a separate LLC that we can get created for them, or we add them to your operating agreement as a member, as a majority owner, which is on paper and kind of temporary, so that the banks are looking at their profile to make the funding decision. And now in the next 30 days, even you with bad credit can be up 100,000, 120,000 to be able to use to execute. Right now, you got to be confident in what you're about to do. You got to be confident that you can convert, right? That person can trust you, because it is their credit. However, that person would be happy if you are the type of person who can execute. They'd be happy to be partner and make some money just off of their credit profile that they're not doing anything with. Some people are sitting on it right now, right? So that's the number 2 thing you can do which I hope you feel empowered by what I just shared. Hope you feel empowered by what I just shared. I'm going to go back to questions, but how fast can you get rid of 8 late payments? Carlos, a lot of our clients are seeing results in the first 90 days. Right? I will just say that as a stat. Now, there's never any guarantees in credit repair, but the guarantee for us is that we guarantee that we're going to do it or you're going to get your money back. Right? Now, however long it takes, sometimes there's a lot of things that happen. And the government, like I said, the government, the bureaus, like things change. But so the commitment is we're going to get it done. But a lot of our clients are seeing results in the first 90 days. All right. So here we go. I'm going to come back to some questions, but that was the 2 ways. I hope that didn't go over your head. That's the 2 ways you can leverage that. And that means that empowers you to say, I can still do this right now if I just think a little bit outside the box and I can just access somebody who has this profile right now. That's power, because that means now we're up. Right? Here's the 3rd way. I just told you the blueprint that someone would need exactly to be able to get funded 100K, 120K, 80K in the next 30 days. So now that you know that, you literally could be referring people who are looking for funding that meet those requirements. You could be referring people and getting paid out in affiliate payments right now. What does that look like? Well, per client, that could be 1,000 per client. It could be 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. One of the recent payments that I just sent to somebody, they sent me 1 client and didn't lift another finger. And I sent her $2,252 on PayPal. She didn't have to do anything. And it took her all of 5 minutes. I wonder what the ROI calculation is. The hourly rate. What's her hourly rate? She spent about 5 minutes sending me 1 person. We got them funded, and I sent her $2,252. Now, even if you just passively did that and said, I can think of 1 person a month, that could potentially fit this, right? Could you use an extra 2,500, 2,000 a month? If you put any effort into it, and let's say you did 1 person a week, right? And that's 4 a month. Now you do the math. Now you're up 5 to 10K. What if you did, 2 a week or 3 a week, and you just put a little more effort and you say, I'm going to call some people, call some real estate agents. I'm going to call some tax professionals. I'm going to check out my local chamber of commerce in my city, all business owners, people looking for funding. You do that, a little strategy, and you change your whole situation, even without you having the credit, and while you're working on your credit for you to be positioned. All right. So again, I hope that's empowering for you guys. All right. So let's loop back. I'm gonna loop back to some of these questions. All right. I want to make sure you get your questions answered. Again, I appreciate the shares, you guys. Please share this with somebody. Right. So 1K, you said, how can I get 100K for my new business? Let me know if you were keeping track of the 6 bullet points that I just shared with you. I'll go through it again real quick. This is the sauce, you guys. We haven't gone through the business entity structure, right? Because honestly, it's not as important as this personal credit profile. Because if you have the profile, we can build out the entity structure in a matter of days. That part we can take care of. What's up, Donnell? Good to see you, brother. We can take care of the entity part in a matter of days. So that part you don't have to worry about as much. So I can tell you what it is just because I want you to have the information, but I really want you to zero in on, like, what does this profile look like? And if I'm sitting on this, then this opens up all the doors. So what is it, real quick? Pins out again if you missed it. Here we go. Number 1 is your credit card limits. You have at least $10,000 to $15,000 in your credit card limits. If you add up all your limits, not your balances, but the amount, the total amount of limit that you have. Number 2 is your utilization below 30%, ideally below 10%. Number 3, do you have 0 to 3 inquiries per bureau and as few as possible in the last 6 months? Number 4, do you have at least 7 to 10 accounts on your credit report, accounts across the board? Mortgages, student loans, auto loans, credit cards, store cards. Number 5, is your average age of your credit 2 years or more? right? 2 years or more, or at least 4 to 5 years would be the sweet spot. And number 6, do you have no derogatories, no late payments in the last 2 years, right? No late payments in the last 2 years, and no collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcy. If you've got that, you are sitting on $100,000. You're sitting on 120, you're sitting on 80, you're sitting on 150 without having to submit any documentation. And in the next 30 days, one of my recent clients, from the time that she booked a call with the team to the time that she had $90,000 available for her real estate business, was 22 days. Pretty boy, thanks for the follow. Credit Chris, appreciate the follow. All right, B Slaps, you want me to repeat it one more time? I got you. I got you. Please write quickly, you guys. This is a formula. When you have the formula, you can access it, which means when you have the formula, someone else can access it. Like I said, you can be getting paid off it, or you can just help people. All right, if that's your thing. One more time. $10,000 to $15,000 in your personal credit limits. And the sub point to that is, do you have at least 2 cards that have a $3,000 limit or higher? At least 2 that have a $3,000 limit or higher. And ideally, you've had those cards for more than a year. Number 2, your utilization needs to be below 30%, right? Your increase, number 3, needs to be below 3 inquiries per bureau and as few as possible in the last 6 months. Your total accounts needs to be above 10, 7 to 10 accounts or more. On your profile, your average age needs to be more than 2 years, right? Ideally, it's 4 to 5 years or more, average age of all your accounts, and then no derogatories, no late payments in the last 2 years, no collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcy. If you have that, you are sitting on money. Or somebody that you could refer is sitting on money, or your future credit partner is sitting on it. And somebody that was watching here recently said, "Hey, I don't qualify with it for this, but my fiance does. Could we do that?" I said, "Yep. Your fiance could be temporarily the majority owner on the operating agreement. Now the banks are looking at that profile, and now we get funded that way. Or we can open up a fresh LLC, a fresh entity for that person, and now get that, and then we can use that funding to be able to fund the other business, whatever we need to do." All right. Most people don't have those requirements. Yes, B Slaps, that is true. That is true. But this is why we need to build today. Now that you know exactly what it is, right? Now it's time to build. All right, here we go. So any other questions? Let me make sure. We're still rocking. Baby girl is still asleep. So I still got a little borrowed time that I can stay on here and share this info with you guys. Right now, one thing while I look back at the questions, one thing I want to make sure that you are clear on is that I do believe in abundance. This is why I am here sharing this information freely with you, so that you can push your life forward, regardless of which way that you go. If you decide to work with somebody else, you decide to tackle it yourself, you decide to work with me and work with us on it. All right. I want you to have the info regardless, because I don't think we have to have scarcity. Everybody can win. And what's for me is going to be for me. All right. Now, the other way that I implement that is I want the next generation to be equipped and to be informed and to be empowered more than we were coming up. So this is why I have committed personally to donate and reinvest a portion of my profits to a fund that's going to be helping young entrepreneurs to get into business, to get into wealth creation, to get into financial literacy, to get into mentorship, to be able to push their lives forward and change the generational wealth landscape across the board. And I believe that rising tide will lift all boats. And that's something that I have personally committed to, not because I have just a ton of money and need to get rid of money. Definitely not. But I felt like God was telling me to start this business on a footing of giving and a footing of abundance, right? So that I'm not so caught up in just trying to gather everything up to myself, but to be able to give in the process. And I believe everything will loop around. So if you are tapped in with me, if you're that type of person that cares about other people winning besides just yourself, then I want to be friends with you. All right, we can stay tapped in. All right, Des Rocks, thanks for the follow. Rich Lingo, appreciate the follow. So I'm gonna loop back to any of these questions. You guys put your questions in the chat. Like I said, I've paid good money for this info. I've been digging into this for a while, so I want you to put your questions in the chat. All right. So I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's go back. All right, here we go. Yep. So we talked about the personal loans. What are good credit cards that show you a pre-approved limit, right? So there's some Discover cards that do that. I have a list. I can probably send you JGMB. If you want me to send you the list, I can send you that. Again, when you're tapped in with the team, then they're going to be able to let you know what are the best options for you right now and according to the current state of things. All right, so that's always going to make a big difference, because in this current state might be different than what existed 3 months ago. There might be a new, credit union, or there might be a new thing. So just being up on top of it, that's the best way. Go to fundingmyfuture.net and book a consultation call with the team, or you can text me at 240-240-640, and then 240-240-640. You can text me and I will send you the direct link. All right. Here we go. Yep, Carlos, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. All right, so they don't just give you a personal loan with high credit debt. Is that what you said, Rachel? Yeah, not everybody does. This is why you need to know which ones to go to, right? And it's hard to know without looking at your profile and looking at your whole situation, which is going to be the best fit and how you apply for it, and the best way to position yourself, right? This makes all the difference, you guys. So a no might not be a no, because there might be a window. Those that follow the Bible, you might have to cut a hole in the roof to be able to get to what you want, right? So it's not always as limited as you might think, but you won't know until you, like I said, until you tap in. That's going to be the best way to do that. All right, so here we are. So we said, so you have a friend, taxi limousine driver, but only works by herself, and she wants 40,000. Yeah, that's totally possible, Carlos. Totally possible. All right, for that friend to get the 40K, for that type of business. Again, if you position yourself properly, you can totally do it. All right, and if 40,000 is all you need, no problem. No problem at all. All right, so let's continue on. I want to make sure that you guys understand the business entity structure. Like I said, it's not as important. It's important to have, but it's not. You don't have to have the LLC right now. You don't have to have the entity right now. All right, we could literally get it tonight and be ready to position it properly and to get you funded in the next 30 days. All right, but that personal credit profile, again, if you don't have it, you got to build and work towards it. All right, build and work towards it. Thanks for the gift. Appreciate that. All right, here we go. You guys, please, again, share this with somebody. Hit the like button if you find it any value in this. PJ, thanks for the follow. All right, so here we go. What is this business entity structure that you're going to need? And what are the factors? Right? Here we go. The business entity structure. Number one, write this down. We want our business. Here's the principle. We want our business to look legit on paper to the bank, and we want it to look low risk to the bank, and we want it to look like it's going to stick around for a while. Here's how we do this. Number one is our name needs to be something that is not high risk. What names are high risk? Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Hold on. I can't let them shut me down. All right, here we go. So what names are high risk? There are certain entities and certain industries that are high risk to the banks. You can Google it per bank, and usually they have a list. Say these are the ones that they work with. These are the ones that they don't. Now, what like real estate investment or construction, that's considered high risk in a lot of cases. Right? Trucking and logistics, cannabis and gambling and different things like that. There's a whole list of industries that the banks either are not going to fund at all, or if you do get funded, it's going to be a very low limit, which we want to avoid both of those scenarios. All right. So what can we do to mitigate this? The best thing to do is to make a generic and boring business name. Shane, yes, we're talking about credit card stacking. And for those that are not familiar, I already mentioned that the team, we can help with all different types of funding, right, across the board. However, those other types are going to come with different requirements, right? You're going to have to bring different things to the table because you might need to have 2 years of tax returns, and your business needs to be open for a while, or you need to produce a lot of revenue and you need to show in your bank statements that you got revenue to get access to some of these other products, to unsecured loans and business lines of credit, right? Equipment financing, vehicle loans, SBA loans if you're trying to take down a business, right? And you want to do that, we can help with all those things. So I need you to book a call with whatever your need is at fundingmyfuture.net, or hit the link in my bio, or you can text me at 240-640 and 2. All right. You can do that. However, this credit card stacking method is incredibly powerful because you do not have to submit any of those things and you can access it in short order. This is why I'm going into such detail about what's required for that, because anybody can do it if you just have the formula. You put the formula together, you can do it. All in TV, thanks for the share. You guys, I appreciate you. Appreciate the likes. Again, everything that you do, appreciate the gifts you guys have shared. Everything that you do is helping the algorithm to know that this is good stuff, and you're increasing the chance that somebody could stumble across this and literally change their life. Thanks for the gift. Literally change their life trajectory, right? Because this is just some information that some people just literally don't know. All right. So again, so what are you going to do? How can we make our entity least friction possible? All right. We have a generic name. What is an example of a generic name? This might be Keyword Enterprises. That's a good one. Keyword Holdings, Keyword Group, Keyword Solutions. So if you have a generic name, they're not going to judge you based on that name, because whatever you have in your name, regardless of what your official NAICS or NAICS code is for your business, which is like your official business description, the banks are going to put you in a category based on your name when they first meet you or when you first apply. So that's one of the main ways to stay out of trouble, is to make sure that you have a generic name. All right. Number 2 is your business address. You need to make sure your business address does not look, smell, or quack like a P.O. box. Banks do not like P.O. boxes because they feel unstable. They feel unstable and uncertain, and banks like certainty. The more secure and certain they feel, the more their pockets open up. All right. So when we have our business address, we need to make sure that it's solid. Now, in a lot of cases, for those of us that are opening businesses, we don't have a physical business location. Say, okay, well, let me get a virtual business address to be able to get access to business funding and do what I need to do and keep some privacy. You know, it's a lot of good things. Cadillac Mac, appreciate the follow. Right, All in TV, thanks for sharing. So you say I'm going to get a virtual address, which is cool. However, here's the recent sauce I can share with you right now. The banks are starting to look a little sideways at virtual addresses, because a lot of people have been overusing it, and they realize that this is not a place of business for people, right? So they're starting to look sideways depending on the address, and certain ones are getting flagged right away. Now, how do you tell if your address is going to get flagged? I'm going to go through that in just a second. The exact steps you need to take if you are using a virtual address. And I say if because the recent sauce, write this down and lean in. The recent sauce is a lot of our clients are getting funded the max funding by leveraging a home address, a residential address. All right. Because traditionally, a home address will be looked at as like you're not really serious in business, you know, because you don't have a physical address and you're running it from home. But since COVID, that changed a lot because a lot of people were doing things from home, and you can go quite far ways into the funding realm with just using a home address. Right now, what are the downsides of having a home address? The first one I think of is privacy. All right, to say, okay, well, the business address is public information. Anybody can look up any business, and you can see what address is registered there. All right, so what do I do about that? This is why a lot of our clients are leveraging this dual LLC, dual entity strategy. What is that? I have an entity that's designated strictly for the banks. It is packaged perfectly the way that the banks want to see it, and I have that entity set up. I have another entity that is my client facing. All right, so anything that the clients are going to see, it's got a different website, it's got a different address, all that stuff. So that might be my high risk business or whatever I'm doing. So that's how I'm keeping that separate. So even though I have a home address on this business over here that's going for the banks, but nobody even knows to look up that name because nobody besides the bank even knows what that business is. So that's a way that you can protect your privacy while still executing this and keep it a clean way to have an entity that's ready for the banks to get the max funding possible. All right. Duke Bam, appreciate the follow. B Slaps, he says, can you use the registered agent business address? Yes, you can. Right. So that is another possibility to use a registered agent. Some registered agents offer a business office or virtual office service where you can register your business there, and that's like your official principal office. That is a real thing, right? It's a real thing that can work. Now, whatever address that you use, you need to check this strategy that I'm about to tell you right now. Right? Fried 420. When you say scam, let me know what you're talking about. Let me know what you mean. If you're not just dropping into let me know what you mean. All right. So the registered agent address. You can use that, but here's what you need to check. Guys, please write this down. Michael Hernandez, thanks for the follow. Please write this down. How do you know if an address is going to give you a problem immediately or not? You're going to make sure that this address, for one, does not show up as a CMRA. A CMRA, which is a commercial mail receiving agency. Yep, I see I missed a comment. Said, how much did you charge her? That must have been talking about the my client that got 90,000. Right. So in general, that charge is going to be on the back end. Tifa, that charge is going to be on the back end. So she didn't pay anything until she got her funding. All right, that's the most important part. But we can loop back through that. All right, so here we go. So we're looking at the CMRA. How do you check if it's a CMRA? Very simple and very powerful. You need to go to the Google and you can put in USPS address lookup tool, or sometimes it's called zip code lookup. You go there and you put the address that you're using or proposing to use, put that address in there. It's going to spit out some data and some line items. One of those line items is going to be CMRA, or Commercial Mail Receiving Agency. That address, if that address shows up and you see CMRA and you see a Y next to that, then run for the hills. That's going to be a big problem, because that is telling the world that this address is designed to send and receive mail for people and is not a normal place of business. Right? Almost like instant denials on those and low limits on those. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is so you can look up this address on Google Street View and you can see what type of business does this look like. Does it look like a nice big office building? Or is it literally a Staples or a 7-Eleven? So you need to look at that and know, because again, if it's a Staples, this is a clear thing that this is not your business. This is not where you're running your business from. All right, which again is why you're going to make sure that you either leverage this dual LLC strategy, the dual entity strategy, all right, or at least make sure that you know where this business is. So for B Slaps, that's talking about the registered agent, just run that address through this process. I hope you guys wrote that down. run the address through that process just to make sure that that address is not going to cause you problems. All right, so let's go through the rest of it real quick. You can put your questions in the chat, you guys. And thanks for the likes, thanks for the shares. Make sure you go to fundingmyfuture.net and get a consultation call, a free consultation call for your next steps. Either that's with your credit, or let's talk about what you're going to do to get funded. All right, Joya, thanks for the share. So you say you're using Northwest registered agent? Yeah, Northwest, that can work. That can work. Again, you need to double check that address, B-Slaps. Did you write down the process for how to check if your virtual address or whatever address you're using is good to go? Please tell me that you wrote it down, because you need to check that. I don't care which address that you have. Somebody recently told me about someone they were working with that got an address from Opus, right? Opus is a reputable virtual address company. They got good, they give you some business credit scores and they do all sorts of stuff. However, when they went to open with the state, they went to open an LLC with that address. The state of Maryland was like, you can't open it because this is a post mailbox. Now, here's the other hack that you need to be mindful of. This is a crazy one too. When you get your address, if you have like a suite number, and oftentimes you're going to get a suite number and a box number. So you're going to get an address that says like 123 Main Street, Suite 300, and then PMB 1002 or box 1002 or number 1002. That's going to be your official address that you get from the company. Now, if you put that on all your documentation, everybody's going to know that this is a mailbox and not just a regular address. So what do? Just put the suite number and leave out box number, PMB. You want to leave that out completely. Right? That is a nugget and a game changer, because now you just put the suite number. Now this looks a lot more official in everywhere that you put it. And on the other side is when you get mail at your address and you only have the suite number and your box number isn't on there, you're still going to get the mail. Just in my experience, because your business name is on there, they know how to get it to you. Either they're scanning it or they're setting it aside. Whatever you're going to do, you're still going to get it. So that is a game changer that some people have been getting denied because their business address shows that it's a mailbox, and that's a dead giveaway. Right? Lataya, let me know if that's how you say it. Lataya Freeman? Lataya? Thanks for the follow. Samantha, the greatest. Thanks for the follow. Teach, love, grace. Appreciate you. Appreciate the follow. All right, you guys, again, share this with somebody. This is valuable information, but this is the exact blueprint, the exact steps you're going to need to take to be set up to get the max amount of funding. All right. Here we go. So we talked about the business address. Any questions? Put any questions in the chat. Next, you're going to need a business phone number, a dedicated business phone number that is not your cell phone. And we'll talk about why that's important in a little bit. You need a business website and a domain-based email address. So no Gmail, no Yahoo. You need a something at yourbusiness.com, info, your name, whatever the case. You need something official. That's going to make a difference. These seem like small things, but it makes a difference. And let me just comment real quick. This information I'm sharing with you, you can run with it. Right? This is going to set you up to be able to get funded. Now, the amount that you get approved for is going to vary depending on who you work with or whether you go it on your own. And let me just give you some examples. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that are going to get funding, and they'll go to their first bank and their approval might be $3,000, $4,000, which is not terrible. You know what I mean? That's more than you had before. Great. However, some of our clients recently, with the same card, the same approach, but just different strategy, we're getting $40,000 approval. Same card, $50,000 from that institution. Right? So it can be a massive difference. So like I said, you're going to set yourself up to get approved or to get, in the door if you follow these steps, that personal credit profile and this business entity structure. However, you do want to be mindful. And I can only vouch right now, right? I can only vouch. Like I said, if you're working with us, working with me in any capacity, I at least know you're in good hands, right? And I know what people have been getting funded, right? And the timelines that they've been doing that. All right. I'm aware of that. So B Slaps, can you get funded 100K for multiple businesses? Yes, you can, B Slaps. However, in this instance, it's going to be based on it's going to be limited by how much personal guarantee can you cover for each bank. So what I mean by that, like Chase, for example, is going to have a max limit for the amount that they're going to fund you with no documentation, right? So that might be 100,000 or 150,000. So let's say it's 150. So let's say you got 4 entities. Say I'm going to get 50,000 from Chase from 4 entities, right? Once you get past that third one, you're going to have to start submitting documentation if you're the same one that is backing it. So let me know if that makes sense. All right. So you can use multiple entities to your advantage, but you just have to do it, understand that there's limits. So what else could you do? You can have the same entity, but have multiple guarantors, like we talked about the credit partner. All right. So I can go even on the same entity. I can be the one to go at first. And then now my partner, a spouse or a business partner or family member or a fellow mentee or whatever the case, now this other person, and we can put them on the operating agreement temporarily. This is a strategy, temporarily as a majority person, so that the next time we go, then the bank is looking at their profile to get the funding. Right? So we can loop that around almost as much as we want. Loser girl, thanks for the follow. Right? Would you have to open a new business checking account for each LLC with Chase? Yes. Yep. Each one would need its own account, and ideally, again, depending on this varies depending on the bank, which is why it helps to know the sequence. It helps to know, it helps to know a lot of this stuff. That when you tap in with the team, when you go to fundingmyfuture.net and book your consultation call, you're going to take out all of this guesswork. All right, all these nuances that are changing almost daily. You're going to take out the guesswork. Some banks do not care whether you have an account with them or not. Some banks care a lot. Here's the other thing is some banks care if you deposited a significant amount of money into that account before you applied for your business credit card or whatever product. Other banks don't care as much. So that might look like, hey, I'm going to deposit $100 into this business checking account, and that's going to set me up for the max funding from this institution. Other times that might mean I need to deposit $5,000, $10,000 into this account and let that sit for 20 days or something like that in order to be positioned for the max funding from that institution. Right? Sheena, so you text, but you never text back. Is the number working? Let me know, Sheena. Let me know. 240-240-6402. Is that what you texted? My apologies if I didn't get back to you. I know it was late last night, but I thought I got back to everybody that hit me up. So just try it again. I'll be glad to text you back. Again, if you need direct contact, Sheena, with the team, go to fundingmyfuture.net, hit the link in my bio, and get a call book. Right? Yeah, my apologies about that if I missed it. I know I'm on these late, and sometimes when I rush up, if I got to get my daughter, if she wakes up in the middle of the night, sometimes I might rush past it. So my apologies. Hit me up. I'll be glad to touch base with you. All right, but you guys can send me a text, and I will send you the direct link to be able to get tapped in with the team. Or if you want to know, like I said, you guys can be leveraging this information to be making referrals and getting paid out right now on other people that need it. So if you can put affiliate in the chat or text me the word affiliate and send me your name, and I will send you the information about getting you tapped in with that, whether that's something you just want to do passively or if you want to really take it serious and like, shoot, with those numbers, I could change my whole situation. Let me know. I'll get you tapped in. Yep. Yeah. Sheena, message me now. I'll just make sure that I see it, and then I can tap in with you and we can touch base. All right. All right. So let's wrap this up. Let's wrap up this this entity structure. All right. Again, we're talking about we want the business to look good on paper. We want it to look like it's going to be around for a while. So we got that business website. We got a domain-based email address, and the website does not have to be anything crazy. Don't get overwhelmed by the website. Literally just a landing page that has your business name, got the business logo. You can get all these things created. You can go to Fiverr.com, have somebody create it for you in short order for $20, $30, $40. Or if you get your domain from GoDaddy or something like that, they have these AI creators, and you can use AI to be able to create your website. Oh yeah, Sheena, I responded to you. You didn't get my response? I'm looking at my response to you right now. Let me know if you didn't get that. Yeah. Yep. Maybe you didn't see it because it was super late. So let me know, Sheena. Oh, I'll respond to you again though. Yep. So so that website is critical, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Your business name's on there, your logo's on there. You got some stock photos that look nice. You got your the like a description of what your business does or a mission statement, something brief. And you got your business phone number. You got your business email showing on there, like a contact form. That's it. Just something that looks legit. Now, here's the follow-up to that is your business needs to look like it exists when somebody looks it up. It sounds crazy, but if somebody Googles your business, does it show up? If somebody puts it in Bing, puts it in Yelp, does it show up? Now you want to also make sure that you're on the 411 listing. All right, the 411 registry. You can go to listyourself.net to sign up with the 411 registry. You can pay to do the national one, or you can do the local one. All right. So that's pretty much it for that business entity structure. Now, here's the last thing that's really important. All their information needs to match across the board, exactly, line for line, dot for dot. And when I say across the board, everywhere that you're submitting your business information, the name, the address, the phone number, email, website, it needs to be exactly the same. So if, for example, if you got Suite 300, we talked about that. And on one thing, like with the IRS, you spell Suite, S-U-I-T-E, but then with the state filing, you have S-W-I-T or S-T-E as an abbreviation. That's going to show up in certain databases as two different businesses. So any variation. So you don't want any variation because that's going to bring up questions, and questions create friction. And friction means, okay, now we got to look at this deeper. This is not we want this slide through to be able to slide through to an approval. So you want to make sure everything matches across the board. So this is with the IRS, with the state, when you get your Dun & Bradstreet number, excuse me, when you get your Dun & Bradstreet number, when you get your bank account, all that information needs to be exactly the same. All right. B Slap says maxed out business cards for one business. Will that hinder your chances with another LLC for funding? That's a good question. It depends on the institution. Right. So if you're saying I maxed out the cards and this bank knows that I maxed out the cards from this business and I'm trying to get funds from this particular bank still, then that's going to be an issue because they're going to know like this is the history that you have. So they're going to think twice about doing that. Now, there are certain situations where it works, depending on where's your personal credit. Is it still really strong? Do you still have some other factors? Do you have some other relationship with them? There's other factors that determine that. Then they might give you an approval, maybe not, but you want to be mindful of each institution in that case. If you're going to a new institution that you haven't done before, then you likely could use a different LLC to get funding. Right? You likely could use a different LLC to get funding. So I hope that answers that. Now, B Slaps, here's the question. If you've maxed out your cards, there's the self-reflection. Why haven't you made money on the money that you've used? All right. Just something to be mindful of. And what is the plan now to be able to leverage the funding, to be able to push things forward and maximize success and minimize failure or delay? Sheena, thanks for the share. All right. What have you done? Now, I will just share with you some of the ways that you can leverage this funding. It opens up, like I said, it opens up crazy doors, but mentorship is one of the most powerful things that you can do. And with mentorship, the reason that is because you're stealing someone else's experience. You're stealing someone's success and you're avoiding their failures. You're stealing their team and the network, right? The exact people that they know that you need to go to, right? The skill set that you're going to need to acquire. You can get all that stuff from the right mentor if you vet them out properly. And when you have business credit, you can access pretty much anybody in the world. You can get to anybody in the world, I'll say from between $3,000 and about $50,000. You can access practically anybody. Somebody's got a high ticket program or something for you to be able to access them and their knowledge and their information in whatever industry that you're looking to do. Right now, you may stumble across people, you may know people that you have a personal relationship with, or you can develop one, or you can get on the inside and maybe not have to pay. That's a real thing. However, having the opportunity to say, okay, if somebody is going to charge $10,000 to teach me how to run ads like a champ so that I can constantly get leads to my business, you know what I mean? And maybe I didn't have 10,000 to be able to use from my savings account, or maybe I didn't want to. I can just swipe that with the business credit and be ready to move forward and be up. That's a powerful thing. Or in another case, somebody's going to charge $25,000 to be able to show me how to make $30,000 a month reoccurring, how to make $100,000 in a day, right? How to make $1 million a month. That's a whole different ballgame. But do you have the 25,000 or do you want to use that 25,000? How long is it going to take you to save up $100,000? How long will it take you to save up 80, to save up 120? This is the power of having access to this information and being able to push this forward. All right, you guys put your questions in the chat. What else is holding you back? Is everybody that's still on? And Purple Rain, thanks for the follow. Everybody that's still on, are you aware of the requirements now? Right? Are you aware of the structure that you need? And are you ready to push this thing forward? Again, fundingmyfuture.net, or hit the link in my bio. You can text me. Dove Hill, what's going on? Good to see you. All right. And let's flow. Like I said, we talked about that utilization. You're ready to move forward. So hopefully you have got your consultation booked, or if you need the link for some reason, text me. I will send you the link. All right. But this is one of the most powerful ways to get into large amounts to be able to get funded. Right. And large is relative, but there's so much that you can do with this. You can do a whole real estate deal completely without any other lender. All right. Depending on the size of the deal. If some of you are thinking out of the box, you say, okay, Kyle, well, if I can access 100,000 or 125,000, 150,000 in the next 30 days, just with this profile and this entity structure, what if I got 4 other people to do the same thing? Appreciate the gift, Purple Rain. What if I got 4 other people to do the same thing? 5 other people, 10 other people. And now collectively, we just got access to $500,000 that we could use towards taking down bigger projects. All right, that's a game changer. That's a mind shift. And for those that aren't aware, people are buying businesses nowadays. You can buy a business. You can get an SBA loan to buy a business, and the SBA is going to cover 90% of the acquisition. So that means you got to come up with 10%. Now, when you come up with that 10%, where is that 10% coming from? Let's just give a quick example. Is the business let's say the business costs $1 million to purchase. So that means if the qualification, again, our team can help with this process if this is something you're interested in. But 90%, so that means the SBA is going to cover $900,000, and you have to come up with $100,000. And guess what? We can use this business credit to cover that 100,000, so that you are basically not coming out of your pocket at all to be able to acquire a business that potentially makes $20,000 a month from jump. 25,000, 15,000, 10,000, 30,000. Now there's a lot that you have to, be prepared for to be able to do that. But guess what? You can join the mentorship that teaches you how to do it properly for another 15,000. But you can use a business credit to do that. All right, so let's look at these questions. Let's look at the questions. How do you do your funding, Adolfo Aguilar? Through online? There's going to be a variation. All right, so depending on your funding sequence, some banks work best if you just apply online. Other banks, we're going to need to do through a banking rep, right? A specific person at the bank that's going to be able to push through the application differently than everyone else. Everyone else is going online, and we're going through the specific banking reps, and that gives us the max approvals with the least friction. And we've developed all those relationships. And we know, again, which bank is going to be most efficient to do it online and just go straight for it, or we're going through the banking rep. Or in order to get the max funding, you might have to go in person and just apply in person. So that the team will be able to tell you like which is going to be the best next step. Mills, what about a nonprofit 501c3? All right. So for the nonprofit, that's not the arena that we operate in, at least in this particular scope of this conversation. However, I will just tell you, you should be leveraging all the resources that are available. Grants, right? You need to be looking up CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution, in your area. Just Google that, and you will find that there's different banks that work with people. If you are doing something, even if it's for profit, if you're doing something that is helping the community in some way, then there's a lot of funding that you can get for those types of businesses. All right. Adolfo, is it just the big banks that need a bank rep or to go to in person? No, it's not just the big banks. It's just going to depend on every bank has its own kind of profile. So it's just going to depend on what they prefer and on what we're following the approvals. You know what I mean? We're following the results. Right? Yeah, Mills, please take advantage of that. Right now, Mills, you can still use business credit to help with all sorts of things. It's a tool that's good to have in your tool belt. Because again, if you got the move to make, say I'm accessing this 0% funding, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if you are doing nonprofit, there's a whole lot of things out there that you can access that you just need to position yourself to take advantage of. All right. But Adolfo, again, the banks that we're going to is gonna depend. It's gonna depend on the bank or the credit union, and that's gonna be part of the customized sequence. Again, these consultations are not cookie cutter. It's not one and done. This is like a consultation relationship. So you're gonna be going through over the months and like what's the best fit for your next step. And because we have access to so many different options, we can say, okay, we can plug you in with this here. And then now at this point, maybe we can go for this, this larger loan that you're going to get, or we can go for this line of credit because now your business has aged to this point, like the whole strategy opens up. Is it just, what's the rule of thumb to know if you will need to go in person or speak to a rep? The rule of thumb is, like I said, you follow the results. This is why this helps, because again, we're working with people every day on this stuff with the goal of getting them funded the max possible. So if something doesn't work, then we know, okay, we're going to try it this way. It's a lot, right? Credit profile wise, your credit profile, Adolfo, were you here when I went through the exact credit profile that you need to be able to get the max funding? Let me know. Because credit profile, I just laid out exactly what you need to know to be able to maximize it. All right, Adolfo, I will go through it just for you one more time. If you share this live with somebody, if you share this with somebody, because like I said, this is powerful information, and this is the sauce. These data points are the sauce. And someone could stumble across this and it could change their whole life trajectory just knowing these data points. All right, Dove, appreciate you. MD, appreciate you. All right. And it sounds very simple, but this is what the banks are looking for. If you have this, then you can get in the door. All right, Adolfo, here we go. Number one, I'm going to do this one more time. Number one is your personal credit card limits. If you add up all your limits, is it $10,000 to $15,000 or more? And within that, you have at least 2 cars that are $3,000 limit or higher, at least. That's a big one. Number 2, write this down for those that are just tapping in. What's up, MD? Good to see you. Write this down. Number 2, your utilization needs to be below 30%. Ideally, it's below 10%. This is on across the board, across all your cards, as well as each individual card. Number 3, your inquiries need to be 0 to 3 inquiries per bureau. And ideally, you have as few as possible in the last 6 months. Number 4, your total number of accounts on your profile needs to be 7 to 10 or more, 7 to 10 at least. Yep, good to see you too, MD. 7 to 10 at least on your profile. And this is across the board, not just credit cards, mortgages, student loans, auto loans, store cards, all of it. Your average age is number 5. Your average age of your credit needs to be 2 years or more at minimum. Ideally, it's 4 to 5 years or more. And the more the merrier with that. And lastly, number 6 is you have no derogatories, no late payments in the last 2 years, no collections, no charge-offs, and no bankruptcy. Adolfo, if you have that, or just like I discussed, if you can refer someone who has that, or if you can find someone who has that can be serve as a credit partner, then you can access $100K in the next 30 days. $120K, $80K, $150K. That opens up the door. That profile opens up the door. When combined with the proper business entity structure, like we talked about, that is the golden combination. If you don't have it, like I said, you need to start working towards it today. Do not get intimidated, because the goal should always be, I need to have solid personal credit, because it's going to help in every area of my life. And I'll be able to protect it when I'm able to run business and do things on the business side without it impacting my personal credit, without having to use my credit limits, without having to use my savings. Right? Everything else is going to be better. So start today to work on it. I know it's tempting to feel like, okay, well, let me just find another way around it. Just start today. Again, the team can walk you through fundingmyfuture.net or 240-240-642. Text me and I can send it to you. The team can walk you through the best next step for you to be able to build up. Yep. So Adolfo, you say you meet all the requirements, but you would need the funding plan in advance. All right. What do you mean by the funding plan? Let me know what you mean. Because if you meet the requirements, I would say you need to be on the phone with the team ASAP. All right, to be talking about your next step. Yeah. So when you say the funding plan in advance, the advisor is going to lay out. Let me know what you mean, Adolfo. But the advisor is going to lay out what the sequence is going to be for you. And here's another benefit, you guys, is there's a lot of people who get people funded, and that's just one and done. That's it, and you're out the door. The whole process, like I said, this is a consultation process, a relationship-based approach, to where over time, we're teaching you how you can do this on your own, right? Educating you. If you want to be educated, you're being educated on the process, on the sequence, on the different stuff, right? So that you are elevated and not just held down in one place. It's a free consultation, Adolfo. Free consultation. That's what I say. You got nothing to lose to be able to find out, and you got value to gain to find out what is my next step, right? What is holding me back? What's the thing in my credit that maybe I didn't realize was a problem? But what's the thing that I need to do? Free consultation, and you'll get all the next steps laid out for you. If you need to talk to me about in more detail, feel free to text me. Yep. MD. Yep. Excellent. You're on the way. Let's get it rolling. Let's get it rolling. All right. Glad to see you tapped in. So you just need to bring down 2 credit cards, and we'll be good to go as far as TransUnion and Equifax. There we go. And there's multiple ways to bring that down, MD. All right. Again, because either we're leveraging a personal loan or to be able to shift it over, or we are able to pay this down somehow. We can do some balance transfers. We've been talking about all these different ways. There's whatever way you got to do to be able to get that under that threshold. Again, under 30% is the minimum, but ideally, if you can get it under 10%, you're good to go. Yep, going to pay it out of pocket. Yeah, if you're able to pay, again, sometimes you might have the money, but you just don't realize, like, it's an investment in yourself, because you didn't realize that paying those cards down was going to open this up. So, hey, if you got the money to pay it down, that's an investment, because on the tail end of that, saying, hey, we got 80K coming, got 100K, got 120K in the first round, that's an investment. You just didn't know. You're carrying the balances on the cards, you just didn't know. That's fine. That's the fastest way to do it. All right. And the cleanest way to do it. If you got the money to pay it, then pay it. If you got a rich uncle, you can say, hey, let me borrow 20K for 45 days. All right. If they trust you with it, say, look, as soon as I pay these down, Kyle told me I'm going to be opened up for business credit, get funded, pay you back. I'll be ready to make my business moves. Boom. Whichever way you can do it. Whichever way you can do it. All right. January 1st. Yeah, that's looking awesome. I'm happy for you, MD. All right. So now the question is, now that that's in motion, now we got to double down. What am I going to do to be able to maximize on the results, to execute on business, to be able to add value, to be able to minimize my chance of failure and maximize success? Which mentors am I tapping in with? What team do I need to develop? What personal development habits do I need to clear up in my own self to make sure that I'm not getting in my own way, mindset or otherwise? You know what I mean? My time management, my financial management, all this stuff matters, right? Because he that is faithful over little is faithful over much. So if you're having some issues, managing your money or knowing where your money's going, getting access to a bunch of business credit and different credit accounts, not going to be a fun time. All right. So you get just check that out. But again, like, what are you going to do to execute? That's going to be the next step. Yep. So that's good. Appreciate the follow, Adolfo. And thank you for tapping in. So you said you got an issue with the timeshare on Experian. Yep. You're going to use the credit cards. Yep. Okay. Yeah. 1000%. It opens up so much. Opens up so much for you to be able to leverage this business credit, you guys. And again, if you tap in with the strategy, say like, okay, I got 0% for 12 months, 18 months. What am I doing? There are ways to effectively increase that time period or to cycle things around. But in your mind, you want to say, okay, ideally, what can I do in 30 days to be able to recoup whatever it is that I used, right? How can I turn a profit? How can I turn a 2x multiple on whatever I did in 30 days, right? Or in 6 months or 12 months. So you don't want it. It's not something to go into and think, okay, I'm about to buy a stock that's going to give me, 8% return for 20 years. We don't want to do that, right? We want this is like action money. You need to take action on something that's going to produce a return that has an ROI and an exit strategy. So if you're in real estate, that might be a flip. That could be a BRRRR method, or you're doing a refinance. It could be wholesaling if you're really tapping into that. Like something that's got to be active like right now. Right? Got to have a plan what you're going to do once you get the money. 1000%. And this is best suited for those that feel like, I know exactly what I would do. I just literally just don't have the money. And if that's you and you're like, I know exactly what I would do, but I don't have the credit either. Like I said, start today building it, but you can leverage a credit partner today. You can leverage a credit partner today and say, hey, I know what I'm about to do. I got the mentor lined up. I know exactly the pathway. You know what I mean? I can do this. If you tap in with a credit partner, you can still get funded 100K, 120, 130, 150, 80, even 50. depending on what you're doing in your business, can be incredibly powerful at 0% interest. Pet lovers, do you guys charge your fees at the front or after the business credit cards are approved? This is a great point, pet lovers, because there's a lot of people that charge $15,000 up front for this type of thing, that charge $30,000 to get into the program or into the mentorship to be able to access this type of stuff. All right, so ours is going to be on the back end, and this helps keep everybody honest. Chan, thanks for the share. This helps keep everybody honest, because if we don't perform, then nobody gets paid. All the time it takes to get your information and know your goals and all this stuff is going to be on the back end. Now, pet lovers, typically, this is going to vary, but typically there's going to be a deposit, a small deposit, right, to get started. That's going to be fully refundable, but there's going to be a small deposit. Everything else is going to be on the back end, right? And this is why you're going to be able to use the new business credit that you got to be able to pay the fee. So you're leveraging the bank's money to actually pay the fee that you use to get the money, and then you're using the rest of the bank's money to make new money, right? It's a crazy strategy because you don't have to come out of pocket at all in some of these cases. Ann Brooks, appreciate the share. Yep, you don't have to. You're not coming out of pocket at all. You're using the bank's money for all of it, practically. All right, and that's crazy, especially when you're talking about some of these strategies. Like, I can get a whole property for no money out of my pocket because I'm using the business credit for all of it. Did I mention that we have ways to liquidate these funds directly into cash? Again, you put all these things into your calculations, right? As far as like whatever the fee might be for these types of things, you put that into your calculation, just like for my real estate people, just like you calculate, okay, how much is it going to cost to do this renovation? What do I have to pay for? And guess what? You don't worry that it's going to cost $80,000 to renovate your property when you know you're going to make an additional $60,000 on top of that. You don't complain about those costs when you're looking at the big picture. So in your plan, whatever it is that you're doing, you just say, okay, if I factor in these costs, but if I can get access to these funds that I did not have before, and I would do this, and this with it, and this is going to be the result, then it all makes sense. Can you help to liquidate the business credit cards? 1,000%, pet lovers. And we do this. We have an in-house service to be able to do this, which a lot of people don't have. But you can liquidate any amount up to $500,000 or more. And you can get that in the next 2 to 3 days. Liquidated straight to you, compliant, and it shows up as a purchase and not as a cash advance. That's a major point because a lot of people think, okay, if I'm trying to get cash from these cards, okay, I got to figure out, I just talked about somebody today. I got to figure out how to factor in the fees for the cash advance and the interest rates and all this different stuff. Nope. All right. You're going to have, like I said, typically you're going to have fees for the liquidation. But as far as the interest rate, you're still going to be on 0%. You're still going to get points from whatever you use. Points is a whole nother conversation that we haven't talked about a lot here. But points is a whole nother conversation because when you're running business, depending on the type that you're doing, those points add up very quickly. And you could be doing things for your family, doing things in your own life, just off points. Right? One real estate deal, like I said, just like what we talked about, that renovation is $80,000. We can put all 80,000 of that on the business credit cards. And if you got multiples on the points, and if you're able to leverage that towards certain travel partners and use different strategies, that can turn into a lot. You can take a whole trip with your family to Dubai, first class, off of something like that. Just leveraging points and strategy. So a lot of people are missing out because they're just using their personal credit or they're just using their debit cards and things like that. A lot of people are missing out using cash, missing out strategy wise. Yep. Chan, thanks for the share. Is that Mikal or Michael? Ramadan, thanks for the share. Dewan, appreciate the follow. All right, you guys, let me know your questions, you guys. Put your questions in the chat. Is anybody have any other thing that they're thinking about that's holding them back from moving forward with this? right? Because everybody, yep. Chan. Yep, I appreciate the love. Yeah, I have been doing these regularly. However, because of the and what's up, Fransan's creation? Hello. Because of the situation in my family where my daughter is 2 and she could wake up literally right now and I might have to end the live in short order, right? So I get on when I'm able to be able to share this information as much as possible because I feel like everybody needs to know about it. Like I said, I believe in abundance, and regardless of what you do with the information, I just want your life to be improved. Now, I can only speak for if you decide to work with me or decide to work with us. I know you'll be in good hands, and I know you'll get good results. However, the information I'm sharing is solid for you to be able to be set up as good as possible. So I get on here whenever I'm able. Sometimes that's the middle of the night. Sometimes I got to squeeze it in the day. But I've been pretty committed and dedicated to make sure that I can share this pretty regularly, right? But you can make sure you follow me. That's going to be an easy way to do that. You can text me if you have any specific questions, right? Text me at 240, 240, 640, and 2, right? Chan, I'll do this for you real quick, right? I'll do this for you real quick. What's the title of the live? We're talking about how you can access $100,000 in business credit at 0% interest for 12 to 18 months without having to submit tax returns, bank statements, business revenue, without having to have a lot of time in business, without having a business plan submitted, no documents, right? What is the personal credit profile that the banks are going to be looking at? And what is the business entity structure? How does your business need to look on paper in order to get that max funding in the next 30 days? That's what we're talking about. We just broke down the exact things you need in your personal credit profile, right? The exact things that you need in the business entity structure. We just broke it down. And what was that? Chan, if you want to know, I'll tell you. I'll break it down one more time if you want to know. All right. Hey, take a seat and get out a pen. Take a seat and get a pen. Rick Four-Way. Appreciate the follow. Get a pen. All right, here we go. This is it. Number 1, your personal credit cards. If you add up all your limits, is it $10,000 to $15,000 or more? For those of you that have been tapped in for a while now, I want you to respond in the chat. If you have that $10,000 to $15,000 limit or more, I want you to put 1 in the chat. If you do not have it, I want you to put cards in the chat. And below that, at least 2 of your cards have a $3,000 limit or higher. All right, Grub, I see you. Now, if this is you, then you need to be ready to move forward. If this is not you, we need to leverage some of these other strategies and get started today on building towards this place. Cards and Credit Queen, appreciate the follow. Number 2, note takers. Number 2, your utilization needs to be under 30%. Ideally, it's under 10% across all your cards and each individual card. That's number 2. Number 3, your inquiries need to be 0 to 3 inquiries per bureau. Max. And ideally, as few inquiries as possible in the last 6 months. Number 4, you need to have at least 7 to 10 primary accounts, which means accounts in your name reporting on your credit file. All accounts, mortgages, student loans, auto loans, bank, credit cards, store cards, all that. Number 5, your average age of your credit needs to be 2 years or more. Ideally, it's 4 to 5 years plus. And number 6, you need to have no derogatories, no late payments in the last 2 years, no collections, no charge-offs, no bankruptcy. If you have that, then you are ready. You're sitting on money that you could be using. Now, like I said, we can talk about the business entity structure, but we can help you to set up the business entity and make sure that it's structured properly in short order. In a matter of days, we can do that. But this personal credit profile, if you have that, that's power that you're sitting on. Or again, that could be a credit partner that you leverage who's sitting on this profile. And now you all collectively get access to this funding and you do what you need to do. Or you could be making money referring people like this. $1,000 a client, $2,000 a client, not far-fetched at all. $2,500, $3,000, not far-fetched at all. And you can be leveraging this information. What I just told you is the power to be able to move forward right now. Siobhan Sahara, thanks for the follow. Yep. So Navy Fed and Grub, you said you got 120,000. Yep, that's solid. That's solid. Now, Grub, I would be mindful, once you start getting above 120, 130, 140 on the personal side, the banks do a weird thing where they start denying you for too much available credit. Somebody make sense out of that. Why would that be a problem? But some banks consider it risky for some reason if you just got too much personal credit. So I would say you're at a solid spot, but I wouldn't go stacking up a bunch of personal credit. If you got 120,000, you're solid to go to be able to get funding. All right. Chan, Navy Federal just gave you $2K after having secured for 2 to 3 years. All right. So, yep. So Navy Federal, you want to navigate that properly, because if you set yourself up right, Navy Federal is known for, hey, we might give you a 10K card, a 15K, a 20K card if you set it up properly. All right. And you set up your secured cards. Hopefully you've been building things up. Chan. Set up your secured cards, your pledge loans, and your rent reporters and all that stuff to get your profile as robust as possible, so that when you do go for your cards to build up your cards on your own, that you're going to get the highest limits possible, because the higher limits on the personal side are going to determine higher limits on the business approvals. It's like a multiplier. So whatever you have on the personal, if you've only got a $500 limit on your personal side and that's your highest limit, they're not going to give you a $25,000 business credit card. It's just not going to happen. They're basing the comparables for what you have to what they're going to give you. All right. So questions in the chat. We'll see if we can land the plane soon, but we'll see. All right. So Jay Simmons says, I like Navy Fed, but won't be able to get anything. Let me know what you mean, Jay Simmons, but I won't be able to get anything. Let me know what you mean. Are you talking about access to the bank, or, because of your profile? Let me know. Let me know. G Money, thanks for the follow. And Siobhan, thanks for the follow. Yep. Yeah. Grub is, yeah. You said too much. You got to be mindful. Be mindful of how much you have at that point. All right. Here we go. Yeah. Just start building today, Chan. Don't worry. Because trust me, you can, if you do this right, you only need so much, right? You only need so much. If you do this right, I'll say a year from now, you could be set up for the rest of your life. You could be set up to access $100,000 every 6 months, $120,000, $150,000, $80,000, and you can just level up. And your personal credit is going to be better. You're going to have access. You're going to be paying less for everything. Everything's going to be better if you just commit to say, I'm ready to just get started. And the best way to do that, again, book a consultation call with a team so you can look at your personal credit and get the ball rolling on that, right? And get in the system, so that along the way you can be building towards, okay, what do I need to do to be ready for funding when that time comes, right? What do I need to do? And while you wait, you can be making money on referrals. While you wait, you can be finding your credit partners. While you wait, you can be learning, okay, what am I going to do to execute on business to be able to add value in the world and generate income? Yeah, I'm glad you came here too, Chan. All right, so let's just say you did a 2K pledge loan, paid it off 90%. Yeah, you're on it. Those are the types of things that you need. You just got to do a bit more of it so we can get the higher limit credit cards. Again, there's some credit unions you can go to that are known for giving out higher limits, so you can leverage some of those. All right, again, you guys send me a text. If you have questions, put your questions in now. Like, what is holding you back? You feel like you don't qualify for this, or you're waiting on something, or you got a question, let me know. Let's clear it up. Because again, I am here because I have done it. and I see the power, and this is why I'm here at this hour sharing this with you, is because I know the power of it, and I want you to be able to access it to push your life forward. All right. And as I mentioned before, this is I have to engage with a lot of people in order to meet my goals, because I'm not keeping all of the money from this. God told me you gotta start with giving, and not just the normal giving. You got to give a little bit more. So I am donating and reinvesting a portion of my profits to a fund that's going to be helping young entrepreneurs to get into business, to get into investment, to get into financial literacy, into mentorship, into wealth creation, into legacy, right? So that we can change the generational wealth landscape across the board. So if you're working with me in any capacity, then know that that's a part of it. So this is why I'm here as well, because the more activity that happens, the more help I can provide. All right. And I do believe that we can win. I love win-win situations. There's nothing that says that I can't be up and you can't as well at the same time. And this situation creates a lot of wins. Yep. 200K in 4 months possible? Creditor Academy? Yes, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. It's possible on your own, and it's even more possible if you leverage a credit partner. Right? Say, well, who is this? And that's why I was saying, like with me and my wife, that's how we were able to access, even early on, before we knew a lot about this stuff, right? Even early on, we were able to access, instead of 100K, that turned into 200K, right? Instead of 150, that turned into 300. That's how we have $500,000, right? That we were able to access, because now we're using multiple people under the same umbrella, right? On maybe multiple LLCs. There's different parts of the strategy. But that's a good way to be able to level that up quickly. But 200K is possible in 4 months. It's possible, right? Now you might have to have money that you can put in to some of these bank accounts to get the max approvals. That's going to be a part of the strategy, right? But it is possible. How do I feel about canceling cards with low limits? Grub, that's a good question. I don't like canceling cards. Because you might be affecting your age a little bit, but I like strategically merging cards and doing things like that. So if you have with the same institution, maybe you have another card if the institution does it. But if you have another card, sometimes you can merge that limit with a new card. This is how I'll just share this sauce with you guys. This is how we're able to extend 0% periods for a long time. Is we're able to get a new card at 0%, and then we can, if our balance is paid off, so some banks, you can merge the limit from your old card into the new card. So now you've effectively extended your 0% period with the old balance that you have. So that's like a whole nother thing. All right. But I would say, you want to be mindful of the age that you have, right? But if you're set on a good foot and you feel like your calculation is going to be intact, I like merging cards and things like that. All right. But as long as you have those high limit cards on there, then those are your comparables that you're going to need to be able to qualify for larger amounts on the business side. Right. Yep. Need help for business funding. Dan Smile, SRT. Yep. You came to the right place. Like I said, you can text me 240-240-642. Or you can hit the link in my bio. It's the fastest way. Just go to fundingmyfuture.net, put that in, and it takes about 60 seconds to fill it out, and you'll be on your way. All right. So I want to make sure that everybody knows the power of this, that you're ready to push things forward, that you leverage this information to your benefit. And I want everybody to win. All right. I want everybody to win. So before I sign off, I'm going to make sure we get to the rest of these questions. So whatever question you have, put in the chat before I sign off. But I do want you to push this thing forward. All right. So I'm going to